Most men think a woman forgets them fast. But that's not true. Some men stay inside her mind for weeks, months, even years. Not because of looks, not because of money, and not because he chased her, but because he triggered something psychological inside her that she could not escape. And when that happens, a woman starts doing certain things without even realizing it. Tonight, we're breaking down the 6 behaviors women only show to men they can't forget. And trust me, the last one is the sign most men completely miss. A woman may stop texting, she may act cold. She may even disappear for a while. But silence does not always mean absence. Sometimes it means obsession. Because when a woman cannot remove a man from her mind, her emotions become conflicted. Part of her wants control. Another part wants attention. And another part secretly hopes he still thinks about her too. This creates psychological tension. And tension creates behavior. The problem is that most men never notice these signs. They look for obvious attraction. But female psychology is rarely obvious. Women communicate emotionally, indirectly, and subtly, especially when feelings become intense. Many women hide emotions instead of expressing them openly. That's why men often misunderstand their behavior. In this video, you'll learn the 6 hidden things women do when they cannot emotionally escape a man. The first thing women do when they cannot forget you is disappear, then suddenly come back out of nowhere. A random text, a reaction to your story, a small excuse to reconnect. She might say something like, "Hey, I saw something that reminded me of you." This is not accidental. A woman who truly moved on rarely feels the need to reopen the door. But when your presence still lives in her mind, her emotions pull her back, even if her ego tells her not to. She starts wondering if you still care, if you forgot her, or if another woman has your attention now. Curiosity slowly becomes emotional addiction. Eventually she breaks silence, not because she planned to, but because unresolved emotions create psychological pressure. This is where many men fail. The moment she returns, they become too available, too emotional, too excited, and they destroy the mystery she felt. A man becomes unforgettable when his energy feels difficult to fully understand. Not toxic, not manipulative, just emotionally controlled. Mystery keeps attraction alive inside the female mind. But that's still not the strongest sign. The next behavior is much deeper because this is where a woman starts emotionally tracking you without you even noticing. A woman who cannot forget you becomes a silent observer. She watches your stories quickly, checks your activity, pays attention to small changes, but often she says nothing. Why? Because attention reveals emotional investment, and women rarely want to expose vulnerability openly, especially if the connection was intense. So instead, she watches from a distance, quietly. You may think she lost interest, but psychologically, people do not monitor what no longer affects them emotionally. Attraction is not always loud. Sometimes attraction becomes silent obsession. She wants information. Who are you with? What are you doing? Are other women noticing you? Every answer affects her emotions, especially if you are emotionally unpredictable. Human psychology hates unfinished emotional stories, and the female mind especially remembers emotional experiences tied to mystery and emotional intensity. That's why some men stay unforgettable for years, not because they were perfect, but because they triggered deep emotional uncertainty. Another major sign is when she starts mentioning you indirectly. A woman who cannot forget you often talks about you without directly talking about you. She may mention your favorite movie, bring up an old memory, use an inside joke, or suddenly discuss topics connected to you. This happens because emotionally attached people revisit emotional anchors. Your memory becomes attached to emotions inside her mind, and emotions naturally seek repetition. Sometimes she even posts things online hoping you notice. Not because she needs validation from everyone, but because she wants attention from one specific person, you. This is emotional signaling, and women do this more than men, especially when they miss someone but do not want to admit it openly. Women rarely obsess over men who constantly chase them. They obsess over men who emotionally impacted them. Men who made them feel excitement, tension, challenge, safety, or emotional intensity. The female mind remembers emotional experiences much longer than logical ones. That's why average-looking men sometimes become unforgettable while attractive men get forgotten quickly. Emotion always beats appearance in long-term memory. Now this is where things become dangerous, because this is when her emotions start fighting her logic. When a woman cannot forget a man, small things affect her emotionally. A delayed reply, a short message, seeing another woman around him. Suddenly everything feels personal. Emotional attachment increases emotional sensitivity. Indifference is calm. Attachment is emotional. That means if she reacts strongly, you still affect her emotionally. This is why some women become distant after developing strong feelings. Not because they stopped caring, but because caring started feeling dangerous. The more emotionally invested someone becomes, the more power they feel the other person has over their emotions. And that scares people, especially women who fear vulnerability. So she may become cold, defensive, or confusing. One day warm, the next day distant. But underneath all of it, her emotions are overloaded. And overloaded emotions create inconsistent behavior. That inconsistency confuses most men, but psychologically it often signals emotional conflict, not emotional absence. Another powerful sign is when she tries to make you jealous. This is one of the oldest psychological behaviors in attraction. A woman who cannot forget you may try to trigger jealousy, sometimes directly and sometimes subtly. She may post certain photos, mention another man, or act extra happy without you. Why? Because jealousy tests emotional value. She wants to know if you still react to her emotionally. This becomes especially common when she feels uncertain about your feelings. And uncertainty increases emotional obsession. The female mind becomes highly engaged by emotional tension, not comfort alone. This is why emotionally unforgettable men usually balance calmness with unpredictability. They are emotionally stable but never fully easy to read. That mystery keeps emotional curiosity alive. Weak men panic in these situations. They compete for attention and become reactive. But emotionally strong men stay centered because desperation kills attraction faster than rejection ever will. Calm confidence creates psychological weight, and women deeply remember how a man made them feel emotionally, especially during pressure and uncertainty. The final sign is the most powerful one of all, because this is the behavior women show only when emotions become deeply rooted inside their mind. When a woman truly cannot forget you, she creates reasons to remain connected to your life, even very small reasons. She sends random messages, keeps conversations going longer than necessary, checks on you unexpectedly, and finds excuses to interact. Why? Because emotional attachment fears emotional loss. And when someone becomes psychologically important, the brain avoids complete disconnection. This is why women sometimes stay emotionally attached long after relationships end. Emotional memories do not disappear quickly, especially intense ones. Here's the deeper truth most men never hear. Women do not become emotionally attached only through attraction. They become attached through emotional experience. How you made her feel during silence, tension, uncertainty, and emotional moments nobody else understood. That emotional imprint becomes difficult to replace. This is why some men become unforgettable without trying too hard. Emotional presence matters more than performance. Most men try to impress women, but unforgettable men create emotional impact. That is the difference. So when a woman cannot stop thinking about you, she usually does these 6 things. She reappears unexpectedly. She watches you quietly. She mentions you indirectly. She reacts emotionally to small things. She tries to trigger jealousy. And she finds excuses to stay connected. But remember this carefully. The goal is not manipulation. The goal is understanding. Because once you understand female psychology, you stop chasing validation, you stop overreacting, and you start becoming emotionally grounded. That grounded masculine energy is rare today, and rare things become unforgettable. So tell me in the comments, which of these 6 signs have you experienced before, and which one shocked you the most? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, sometimes the most powerful attraction is the one never spoken out loud.